Give me just a sec, folks. Oh, whoops. Cool deal. Well, awesome, folks. Welcome, welcome. We have somebody awesome here. My awesome interview guest from earlier, from the Who's Developing Now, Who's Gaming Now / Who's Developing Now that we did a little bit earlier here before the start of the hour. That is Natalie Lawhead. I'm sorry, did I Natalie?
No, it was okay.
Okay.
It was good.
The developer behind Tetrageddon, which is an awesome arcade and fun website in general. You should definitely check out. Follow at Alienmelon on Twitter. You don't stream on Twitch, do you?
No, I have never gotten into Twitch, really.
Oh. If it's something that you're interested in, definitely let me know and I'll help you figure out the setup stuff. Of course, it's going to be a little bit different for Mac, I think, because I guess OBS is out for Mac now. Yeah. Well, if you're ever interested. It's a fun sort of thing, and I find it's always helpful for developers to be able to get extra exposure. But it's also kind of a big deal to do the streaming thing and do it consistently, and not be able to just take a break from whatever you're doing because you're done working on that module for a moment. You just need a break. So, Joe Black, good to see you. Chip GM, good to see you, buddy. Moon Rage, hey. We were working on some stuff here, and then just kind of showing the game off here, and I think probably gotta get back to work over on the game space here because I want to actually get the URL up and maybe some more modifications. The cool thing about this game is that, unlike Minecraft, you don't have to worry about the servers being hosted. It's all hosted by Sony Online Entertainment. They aren't going to do the thing where people can host their own individual servers. In fact, they don't want to open up that sort of vulnerability, so they're keeping it all in-house. So what we get with that is the consistency of a AAA MMO company of, almost 2 decades, and their server infrastructure to keep things up and running. That's a good thing. It's nice for the consistency of the game. The other thing, though, is that it means you can't really mod the game the same way as you can with Minecraft, which is fine, because when I watch Minecraft with mods, it's just this chunky, blocky thing that looks frustrating to play, but people play it. People enjoy it quite a bit, in fact.
So would you say it's actually a better thing when a company holds more control over the game and the whole IP and what goes in and what doesn't go in, or is it kind of good and bad, like both are? Is one better than the other?
It's a trade-off sort of thing. If they could give the same product with the same quality and the same security, but make it something where we can individually host our own servers with our own rules and make our own mods to it, I think that is ultimately what I think people would like the most. But it's one of those things where they don't want to compromise what they're doing in Landmark, because the other thing is, Landmark isn't just its own instant sandbox. It's also being used as kind of the building space for all of their future voxel-based games, the first of which being EverQuest Next, which it used to be called EverQuest Next Landmark until it went into closed beta, at which point they dropped the EverQuest Next because it was confusing people. And honestly, the game is meant to be genre agnostic anyway, so having the EverQuest Next would kind of pigeonhole it into being kind of fantasy based, and that wasn't really the intent. So other things you can do with it that I don't think you'd really be able to do with Minecraft or something like that. You can actually monetize the content that you're making. Like you can, if you build something and it looks cool, you can turn it into a template and put it up on the Player Studio market. All you need to do is have your tax information accepted, and you can put things up on Player Studio. It's kind of limited for really being able to make a lot of money right now because where the state of the game's at, where the state of the tools is at, and how much people are actually willing to spend on that sort of stuff is pretty low right now. But I would wager there probably are folks who have been making the minimum $50 per quarter to have the Player Studio check sent to them. But it's going to be more than just the stuff that we can do building templates and stuff in game. We'll eventually have the ability to make props and other things and submit the actual models in Player Studio, because half the world is voxels and the other half of the world is props. These launchers, for example, and these lights, those are props. Those are 3D modeled things. They're scalable, but other than that, we can't like take half of them off or something. You can't really modify them, manipulate them too much. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunities. I know PlanetSide 2. There are people who have been making thousands, tens of thousands of dollars off of the helmets and stuff that they've been selling. So people have been making good money off of Player Studio, and that's essentially one of the things that made me buy into the game early. Is like, oh, you mean I'm going to be able to make money playing and building in this game? Well, hell, take my $100. I'm going to get the Trailblazer, the biggest Founders Pack, and I will get it the day one. I literally got it the day the pack came out, because it's like, I love Player Studio stuff, and I don't want to not have that as an option, something that I'm involved with the process of. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. Yeah, Joe Black, SOE does have a lot of good games. They've got right now Landmark and actually they've got a lot of games you can do Player Studio with. EverQuest 1, EverQuest 2, Landmark, PlanetSide 2. I think DCUO you might even be able to make Player Studio stuff. So there's a lot of potentially money-making opportunities for gamers, basically. I mean, artists and stuff could come through and probably make a fair buck on these too, but I think a lot of times people that are conventional artists of one form or another aren't really, I guess, considering the game space as a place to make the stuff, because the payment and the access to everything, the consistency of it, and also the cut that you're only getting 40% of a devalued virtual currency. Sony takes 60% of the Player Studio, you get 40% of the Player Studio purchase, but that's after devaluing any amount from previous sales they've had for Station Cash. Station Cash is their virtual currency that they use, and they used to have 2x and 3x sales, so there's still people hanging around out there with Station Cash that one point doesn't equal 1 cent USD. So there's like, when I sell one of my camos that I've got in PlanetSide 2, for example, I make at most $1.80 off of it, but generally less if people have bought things during the sales. They don't do the double and triple Station Cash sales anymore. They haven't for over a year, and I'm pretty sure they discontinued it specifically because they wanted to get maximum value for Player Studio when they got it going. Yeah, ChipGM also Trailblazer before went into alpha. So there's a lot of people that have stuck around from the very beginning and haven't gone anywhere. There's a lot of people that have kind of come and gone, and we expect them to come back when there's more content in the game. But I've been enjoying the game quite a bit myself, even without all of the features that are expected for the game. We'll eventually have the ability to create full-on AI modules and that sort of stuff. There's a system called Storybricks. It's their own proprietary AI system. They actually bought the Storybricks company, if I'm not mistaken, and that's how the AI is going to work. It's something that us players are going to be able to work with, a very kind of simple but robust interface. We can create anything from simple interactions where if you take the roast beef or whatever off the skewer, then some creature comes over, smacks you over the head, takes it and puts it back on the skewer, all the way to potentially something where you've got a gigantic campaign going across multiple regions of the game that it's a giant story arc, and something that's cool, that's of that level of quality, and if it fits closely enough, could actually be put into EverQuest Next. They're actually using the content we make in here and that we'll be able to make in here as things that we'll be able to use to populate EverQuest Next with. So us players will actually be able to directly affect the development of that game too.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really something. I'm really excited for it. I've been having a lot of fun with things, and we just got Combat a little while ago. We had our fun with it, and then we realized it's still got a lot of features to go before it's really like super awesome. And then they added some more stuff, and it's been a bit more fun. But I think the next update coming next week should hopefully be adding the keywords that'll allow us to really get into our major build management sort of stuff. So I'm slowly, I realize I'm talking more than I'm working here, but that's fine. Because it's just play anyway. It's not like I'm doing this to get paid. So what kind of games do you normally play, or are you normally into when you get the opportunity to play stuff?
I used to play a lot. Recently, I haven't had any time for that, but I don't know. I like indie games a lot, and I used to like Half-Life and Valve games a lot, but yeah, I have been very bad at gaming lately. Not had any time for really anything.
It's tough because you can either play games or you can make games.
Uh, I used to like the you know. That's a long time ago, but Gary's Mode and
Gary's Mod,
Half-Life
yeah.
Half-Life mods, especially Half-Life 1 mods, but yeah, don't I get really guilty thinking about, oh man, I should play again, because to make good games you have to play games, but to play games you don't have any time to make games, so
Right. Well, I guess that's kind of one of the things I've really been enjoying with Who's Gaming now, is that I'm playing games that I might have never even heard of, and I'm playing like usually 2 or 3 a day. So, definitely getting a lot of exposure to a lot of stuff. I have seen a lot of, I didn't realize there were so many roguelikes and procedural platformers out there, and that many being made. But sure enough, they're just rolling out left and right. Combat racing games have been coming up quite a bit recently too. Third person, car, motorcycle, whatever it is, you're trying to win the race, but also shooting people along the way and trying not to get blown up. So yeah, there's I would say like kind of themes of games that are starting to get back into popularity now. But yeah, if you want to just kind of get a pulse of what's going on with the indie games, tune into Who's Gaming Now, because we check out a lot of stuff. We really do. So what's the main thing that you're working on for the I guess your current projects right now? Is it more artwork, more of the programming sort of stuff, or is it really just learning the ropes with all the PlayStation stuff so you can move forward with it?
at the moment it's probably going to be all the legal stuff that I'm going to have to learn so I can cover myself and understand what I can and can't do, and then it's going to be the development and programming stuff.
See. Chip GM, if you're talking about Road Redemption, we actually demoed it on Who's Gaming Now a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago even. Fun game. I love the hell out of that. Road Redemption. It's people had referred to it as kind of fulfilling the promise of the game Road Rash way back in the day. Yeah, it does that. It does it in a really good way. Did you play a lot of, I guess, console games and stuff growing up then?
It was mainly PC games. Anything on the PC.
Okay. I would say there was a lot more division between PC and console games 20, even 10 years ago than there is now.
Yeah.
I can't think of a console that actually had an Oregon Trail game. But for PCs, like, that was everywhere, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Every computer has an Oregon Trail variation. Did you get into any of the ones that are a console that's also a computer, like Commodore, or even some of the Atari stuff, or mostly PC?
Those were only at friends. For me, it was mainly PC because it was the cheapest, and yeah, I liked it because it was so. I thought it was very experimental, like, you know, I can't say that anymore because indie games are very experimental, but, like, you know, console games were very refined and polished and real experiences, and the PC games, what I liked about them was that they were totally experimental and lo-fi and
almost more like abstract rather than realism.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we did have, I had a Super Nintendo growing up too, so, you know.
That was a solid console for its time, for sure.
Yeah.
Going back, I really can't say one was better than the other.
No.
They had their differences. They had, you know, different products. They had different aesthetics. Like one of them could represent more stuff on the screen, and the other had more colors or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the Genesis that was the more color-rich one. Got to move the scoreboard over here. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that there was the you know, so much, I guess, competition between the consoles and exclusivity between consoles and all of that stuff 10, 20 years ago, and now it's like, oh yeah, you know, we're releasing the game for pretty much everything. We're putting it on Xbox, we're putting it on, you know, PlayStation 4, Wii, oh yeah, PC, Mac, Linux,
Yeah.
mobile, iOS, Android,
Mention it.
the NVIDIA Shield, you know,
Mhm.
everywhere.
But what I like about this, and what I think is really important about it, is it's really helping the evolution of the media. I mean, things seem to be evolving so fast now, and I think it's because everyone can and is contributing to it in their own way. Like, you know, anyone can become a game developer. Anyone should become a game developer and contribute what they have to say and their approach to it. I think it really has helped the game medium, you know.
Absolutely. I would say, you know, games were a lot of just fun in games initially. In the past 5-10 years, we've been seeing a lot more stuff that's not just some cheesy, hokey commission game that's trying to, you know, drugs are bad and you gotta recycle and all of that sort of stuff. But actually, you know, games that have real meaning and are, you know, really worthwhile as kind of learning tools and things to gain real life experience from. Like Depression Quest, for example. That game is not fun, but it is so well made. It is a very good game. because it really does teach you what it's like to live with depression, or if you have depression, kind of helps you understand and cope with it a little bit better. But at the same time, there's the unfortunate circumstance that Zoe Quinn's been under constant attack ever since releasing the game, and possibly even before then. Um, big to some extent because it's a I guess because it's a text-based game and it takes itself seriously, and I guess otherwise because it even before it was on Steam Greenlight, people were saying this isn't fun, it's not even a game, blah blah blah. And I think that's one of the things that's starting to kind of get addressed now, is people being able to understand and recognize what actually is a game versus, what's not. And generally things, more things can be a game than aren't a game, to be perfectly honest.
Yes, I think it's a lot like a culture shock, because so many people are joining in and making games and adding these experimental games to it, that I think the market is kind of catching up to being more open-minded about that it's okay that it's not something that you're used to,
Yeah. I mean, I remember when, nerds and video games and that sort of stuff wasn't pop culture at all. It was something that pop culture usually would just make fun of. Now it's something that pop culture tries to leverage as best as possible, and utilize to tap on those demographics as best as they can. So it's kind of been a different change. Of course, we still see people that are perpetually putting down nerds. Like anytime Conan O'Brien, for example, brings up nerds, he always does pushing up the glasses and swinging the lightsaber thing around, and I don't know. I think the dude's just a dick for it. Like, and go ahead and insult your demographics. Like, that's great work, but people eat it up. So I don't know. I as a nerd, I find it offensive, and that his lack of understanding of video games and making fun of them more than actually trying to play them in a journalistic way is equally upsetting to me, but whatever.
I think it's also the people that grew up playing games and grew up on the internet are grown up now, so it's like they're the future and they're the current status quo, and some people just have trouble catching up and accepting the whole mindset. And I don't know, like it's like when I was growing up and I started internet was a new thing, and you had to explain to people what it is, and then you had people saying it's a niche, you're wasting your life on it, you're gonna be homeless and nobody if you spend your time on it. And then those same people had to catch up and started doing internet and web design and all that, and then but it's growing pains, and the medium is coming to maturity and to a whole new level now, I think.
Absolutely. And yeah, Chip, you've got a good point. They laugh at us, but love what we've made. TVs, cell phones, apps, tablets. Yeah, that's exactly right. Modern technology would not be what it is without people that care about technology. That's just how it works. If it wasn't for nerds, we'd still be in the Stone Age. Yeah, pretty much. Still be clubbing things with crude devices. Though it's kind of a weird thing, because we've seen this kind of rise of nerd culture, but at the same time I feel like education itself, at least in the United States, has been continuing to have a lowered emphasis for really no apparent reason. So while the stuff we can do is getting smarter, the potential availability for everybody to access it is potentially getting slimmer and more narrow. But I don't know. Even when I was in school, I felt like the quality of the education system was declining. I'm, many years removed from it now, so yeah. Oh well. So I finally got this sign set up here. I'm gonna first repaint it because you don't just have infinite of every material. You actually have to go out and collect the materials that you're going to use to do the building with. Some of them are a component that requires two other components, like the this green glowy material and the glowy material that I have on the rings up there. That all is made from a combination of like marble and rubies, for example. I'm not saying that's specifically the combination, but that's the sort of stuff. It's a two-part sort of thing, and then you use the one of the refinery machines to actually create the material itself. Not every material is like that. There's very few that actually require a step to be able to make them. But I think that's something that's probably going to change over time with the game. There's probably going to be more stuff that we need to do more treatments with and processes with to be able to have it available.
So watching you do this, you're doing a lot of walking around and stuff. Is it funner to do that, or would it be easier just to be a non-player, just a camera or something? I mean,
well, that's something that we've requested, and they said they do want to give us the ability to build freely, not having to have your building stuff tied to your physical character. But the only reason why they haven't done it yet is they said it's not tied to any other system of the game. It would be an entire system, an entire module, an entire functionality to build in that wouldn't address anything else going on with the development of the game. So right now they're trying to work on things that are going to have the most leverage and the most functionality across the product, and that's something that, while we really want it, and they really want us to have it, is that more important than, say, multi-threading? Is that more important than getting the rest of the combat system? Is it more important than getting the AI system in? Is it more important than getting the bugs when you log in or teleport in weird places that you automatically die and have to restart the game? I think there's a lot of things that are just a bigger priority, and while it's a feature we've been asking for, and they've been offering, actually saying that they're going to put it in way back in alpha, it's a work in progress. We're still in beta, so there's still, as until it's out of beta, they can take as long as they need to actually get the features into our hands. That's kind of my thoughts on it here. But yeah, if I could be just building as a free-floating camera instead of walking around, I would totally just be doing that. That's so much easier. Ooh, that magma is bright. That is really bright. I'm just going to use that. So did I answer your question, or did I just kind of start rambling there?
no, you answered.
Okay, good. Alright, I'll put another copy of it on this side. Actually, I'll put it on the outside of this one. And just kind of have it framing the entire thing, so you can't be here without knowing where to find me. There's a lot of stuff people have built in the game, and that's one of the really nice things with Landmark, that you're not necessarily limited to one server or one region. You can pretty much go freely from any point in the game to any other point in the game. I can go to a European server right now with this character without changing their equipment or anything. Go to a different island. I'm on the Kettle Island right now. That's just the name of it. I can go to any other island on that server freely, no limitation. Joe Black, good to see you, buddy. See you around. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you around here in some of the more shows here. So, have a good one, buddy. And I see Chip went off to grab his kids. See, that's what I'm saying with Landmark. It's an awesome community, and the folks that are active with it are pretty active and pretty dedicated. But You know, we don't really have a lot of folks in here. If I bet if I was playing Minecraft, I'd have like another 20 people in here just because Minecraft is being played by somebody. But I don't know. I'm having fun with it. I think it's great, and I'm definitely excited for what's going to be going with the future of the game here. Really, mostly the AI interactions are what I'm mostly excited for. Being able to actually, they initially kind of said like, oh yeah, you'll be able to create your own D&D campaigns and play them with your buddies in here, and that's kind of the level of control that I'm really looking forward to. I don't know if we're actually going to be able to, you know, make the entire D&D rule set and force it into the game here. It'd be great if we could, and as well, we would also need the arsenals and equipment of the D&D world, and we would need monsters from the D&D world, which it turns out it's really funny. Gary Gygax, for the original D&D stuff, he got these little boxes of toy monsters that already existed and just redrew them, gave them a name and a story, and that's how a lot of the monsters in D&D actually came about. There was an article I read about that a little while back. Pretty neat. But I'm pretty sure they want us to be able to actually make creatures like that, and they'll eventually give us the ability to make voxel prop combinations that can actually move in the world. They've also talked about the ability to have things get turned into meshes. So, for example, if I had turned this into a battle area and I knock the 4 legs off of the target area here, it would cause the entire area from where I knocked it off to fall off, and then from there it could potentially fracture further from the falling damage, or someone can go over and start smacking it more and breaking off more parts of it. That's another really awesome system that I'm excited for. You know, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going into this game. They're really trying to break all of the MMO boundaries and make this the kind of the beginning of the next generation of MMOs in general. I'd say they've been doing a pretty good start with it. Whoops. I missed the rings there. So you've got the little parrot. What other pets do you have? Any other ones?
Just the parrotlet. I used to have a lot of pets, like the gerbil you play against. That was a pet also. The tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
I used to raise mice, you know, for pet stores.
Oh, cool. Did that ever cause any trouble? Like, did they ever chew their way out of the cage or anything like that?
Yeah, it did. It caused a lot of trouble.
Is that ultimately why you stopped, or?
Oh no, I moved around a lot, so it just wasn't feasible anymore to keep it up.
I getcha. That does seem like something where you kind of need a consistent location for a while.
Mm.
Oh, while I'm putting lava places, I might as well put it somewhere else. Get some more light in this place. Have you really gotten a chance to play any games recently, or you've just been pretty much 100% work mode?
I did recently get a PlayStation, so I have the PlayStation Plus, but that's about as much as I've been able to do. I do watch a lot of the YouTube videos. I figure if I'm not going to play them, at least I can check out other people playing them, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is fun. I did get to play them at festivals too, so I guess that's a bonus of going, is you get to check out all the new games and talk to the developers, and
yeah,
that's totally fun.
It is. It is really a lot of fun. I mean, especially like Indiecade, it's everybody there is a developer that's excited to be showing off their stuff. There's never anybody that's like, yeah, I'm just here representing the company. I don't really know much about this product. Well, there was one guy, but he was pretty cool. Yeah, no, Indiecade is a lot of fun. E3 is a lot of fun too. I can't honestly say there's a game convention that I've gone to, except for one, that wasn't a lot of fun. And that one was those 2 years when E3 wasn't around, and I can't remember who it was started this fan-specific thing called E for All Expo, which I'm not even sure if I would go with that name myself, but it was meant to be kind of open to the fans, and there are speed runners and people working on top scores for all sorts of retro games. And it only filled like half of one floor of the, or half of one room that they got for the LA Convention Center. Seeing the LA Convention Center, like mostly the bare walls and the bare concrete and that sort of stuff, generally doesn't bode well for a show. So I think that was the second year that I went, and that was the last year. There were a few big companies there promoting their games and giving out shirts, and there were a couple of small companies, and that pro gamer guy Fatality was there, and if you beat him at Quake or whatever, you would win a card or some product of some sort. What the heck? I gotta get that copper out of here. I don't know why I have a random bit of copper right there. Oh, it's on all of them. I must have pasted that through. Whoops. Yeah, copy, cut, and paste. Definitely nice features to have for this game. Have you gotten in contact with anybody who's done PlayStation development to be able to kind of leverage them and pick their brain for knowledge, or is it something you kind of want to learn all by yourself to really be able to understand it fully?
Yeah, I've been chatting with some people that got their games on PlayStation, so I also have that if I need to ask questions. It's pretty cool. It seems so easy, like, wow, what am I waiting for? It doesn't sound like rocket science or you have to be a lawyer at all. Like even the process of becoming a developer is super simple.
Cool. Would you say it's going to be easier than the green light process?
I really can't say because I tried to get on Steam when Valve was still doing their review-only things, and that was impossible to really get anyone's attention. So after that, I kind of put Steam on a back burner, and then I heard that the green light process, it takes up to 2 years sometimes if you or the whole limbo your game goes into. So I'm not too sure how to even approach that, to how I would even begin that whole process, or how to successfully, because I heard too, if you don't do it right and you get too many negative votes, then it takes forever to dig your way out of it and all that.
I could see how that would be kind of an issue then, because this is definitely a game, or the Tetrageddon stuff is definitely stuff where I could see people just as much being, hell yeah, this is awesome, as people saying, no, the internet, no, come on. So, it's one where I could definitely see there being mixed reviews. So, when you do actually get to the Steam Greenlight process, definitely let us know. It's something that Who's Gaming Now definitely has been working on and promoting and having good success with. So, yeah. When you get to that point, let us know, and we'll probably know more about the process by then too, because it's something that we're constantly working on.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
So you said you're going to be at what's it called, GDC Next for both days. Have you looked up or heard about any of the after parties? I haven't done the rounds myself yet.
No, I wasn't even aware that there are such things as after parties.
Yeah, usually the conventions will have various sorts of after parties when the main content wraps up for the day.
Do you have to be an insider to hear about it? Is there like a special newsletter or person you talk to?
It's a very tricky sort of thing because it's not this official like, hey, this is the party for the event so much as a bunch of different companies will host a bunch of different parties at hotels and other stuff in the area, and it's just a matter of either knowing somebody that works at one of those places, or if they post the information, finding those listings. A lot of times people will actually group all of the parties and events together on one website, so you'll be able to locate them there. But I haven't done the checks yet because looking at the numbers and the fact that they started giving out the free tickets because they were worried there weren't going to be enough people attending to be worthwhile, I don't know what the after party scene is going to be looking like. But I'll definitely let you know anything that I come across, because it's just as much like the partying, and if you like drinking, but otherwise making contacts with people. It's that's one of the biggest things about it.
It's always fun.
Yeah. So I've got somebody made a really nice version of the logo for the for Landmark here, and I figure I'll put it as a decoration on the side of the target boards here. Might as well. One, two, three, four, five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think this is centered. And what about top and bottom? 1.
So the last screen you were looking at, that was like your assets screen?
Yeah, that was the templates that I own. So most of them I've made. Some of them, well, okay. So the way it works with templates, you can either make stuff and then turn it into a template, or you can buy templates off Player Studio. Those ones that you purchase, you can't actually modify in any way. But ones that you use the selection tool, and it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you've built. Somebody else can put the voxels there. You put your selection tool around it and make a template. You own the template, but you don't own the ownership of having put those voxels there. However, if you manually copy a template and put it in your template storage, you can do whatever you want to modify it. So it's kind of an interesting thing. There's actually swap meets that people do where they will put up a bunch of cool stuff that they've made that they want everybody to be able to access, and then anybody can come along and freely take them. Of course, that means everybody's got access to the building rights, so if somebody wants to come through and be a jerk and start deleting everybody's stuff, or come through and paste a giant 3D penis in the middle of things. That was, by the way, one of the things that kind of threw me off was the that link that you had, that it brings up the images for the website, but you referred to the link as porn, and the first image on it was 3D penis.
So. I tried to do it. It's not like it has anything in it. It's just names to throw people off. Like, yeah. What the hell is this now?
I thought that was actually pretty funny. It's like, I doubt there's a 3D. There could be one somewhere, but I doubt it. Not gonna click it.
Have people in the community done stuff like that, or is it typically a very nice community?
Actually, there was a very funny thing that happened back in early in closed beta, where I dug all the way to the bottom of the world. You can't even do that now because there's water down there. Dug all the way to the bottom of the world, and then started throwing dynamite to blow the place up because it had this really weird, freaky effect to it. And one of the times I did it, it caused me to pop back up to the very top of the world. Now, the day before, I was doing a tour of the island that I had been building on, and I came across this build from a player named Inspector Schmoog. That was basically just a big green, using the grass material penis, just sitting there, just cocking balls out in the open, with a little sign that said "sorry" below it. So I came across that during the tour show. I was like, come on, what are you doing, folks? And then the next day when I was doing the thing where I was digging all the way down, some error happened and it flipped me all the way back to the surface, back to the top. And sure enough, I was perfectly positioned right in front of the penis. It's like there's no way you can plan that sort of thing. I think I saved a highlight of it too, so yeah. That was some shenanigans, but generally you don't see that sort of stuff because it is a beta that you normally have to kind of pay into because they don't really have free keys or the 7-day keys, I guess. And if you do something that's going to get you kicked out, then you're probably not going to get to play again until the game goes live because they don't want to have to sit around moderating trolls.
Hmm.
There we go. Put that there. That looks good. And there's some very interesting sorts of stuff with the you can actually, most of the voxel stuff that you're seeing is done kind of based on 90 degrees, but you can actually rotate things arbitrarily to whatever angle you want, and it'll do its very best to try to compensate for things being thrown off a bit. So that sign that I just put up over there, I'm going to put it up again here at an angle so you can kind of see it gets a little deformed and distorted, but it still preserves most of it. Like that part right there gets a little messed up. Some of this stuff kind of gets a little messed up, but it's, pretty clean rotation of the voxels that were there relative to the fact that it is voxels that were being used here. It's not just
I see.
polygons in the world. But I didn't actually want that there. That was just a demonstration. Eventually this might come to PlayStation 4, but we don't know necessarily when.
For games like this, is it better for a PC or does it work just as well on console?
Well, this actually doesn't have a console version yet. It's only...
I mean, the type of game.
Oh, for this sort of thing? For me personally, I think something like this works way better with the PC because if you want to use a gamepad controller of some sort for some functionality and it's something that's designed in the game, it'll be available, but at the same time you still have full just keyboard only or keyboard and mouse to be able to work with. So I honestly like to have as many controls available as possible. So I personally think PC is better. Plus, I would say you have a lot better management of your files with PC. I would imagine if I'm trying to manage and browse through and do a bunch of stuff with a bunch of screenshots on a console, for one thing, consoles come with a limited storage space, so a bunch of screenshots might start limiting your size, your capacity anyway. But actually navigating through a browser OS, I haven't done it too much, but I never really found it to be super intuitive. Like I remember navigating through the PS2 menu to turn some options on or know more about the thing that I'm about to get into, and that menu was pretty clunky. And what I've seen of the console menus, they all look kind of clunky.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I feel PC is better for this sort of thing. Have it available for console, but mostly be PC. I see what's going on here. So there's kind of a bug right now. The selection tool will sometimes get weirded out, and then the arrows from the selection tool will remain even when you can't actually select anything. Yeah, Chip, I know H1Z1 is definitely going to make it to PlayStation at some point. And by the way, H1Z1 is a zombie survival MMO that Sony's making. It's But at the same time, that's coming from the kind of other variation of the Forge Light engine. So the engine this game is being made with is Forge Light, but it's got kind of a couple versions to it. There's kind of the voxel version and the non-voxel version. The voxel version is what we're going to be seeing, of course, here and for EverQuest Next, and potentially other games that they're going to be making in the future. But there's more the kind of handcrafted version of the Forge Light engine, which is what we're seeing for PlanetSide 2 and H1Z1. And if I'm not mistaken, Free Realms and DCUO also use kind of an earlier version of Forge Light technology. Let's see, is this... I think that's lined up. There we go. But that's, I don't know if this is going to make it to console anytime soon. I'm sure their other games are. But for something like Minecraft, for example, I would probably want to play that on PC anyway, because my PC is way more powerful than an Xbox or a PS4.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just going to be better optimization, efficiency, running well, all that sort of good stuff. So, have you played many of these sandbox sorts of games, or not really, because you've been kind of really busy in the time that they started kind of getting popular?
I used to watch my brother play with my brother Minecraft quite a bit, but that was like 2 years ago. That's kind of when my gaming really slowed down. So
I getcha. Did you play a lot of RPGs growing up? Like Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest, that sort of stuff, or even ones for PC, like I know the Ultima series was a pretty solid title for PC for a while. Did you get into many of those, or not really?
Kind of not really. Can't really remember that much at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, it's... I remember there being a lot less RPGs for PC than for console, or at least ones that I was able to find out about. Then again, things might have been skewed for me because I didn't have a PC gaming magazine, but I had been getting Nintendo Power for the first 100 issues, which, that's many years at one issue per year. So I guess a lot of my gaming knowledge and what's coming up and what's new and what's cool was coming from specifically Nintendo's own proprietary magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Which was fine. I thought it was great. You get all sorts of little exclusive content, the fold-out posters they'd have in the middle, just really neat stuff. I haven't checked on it since maybe a few episodes after the 100th, and I think there are issues rather. I think they're somewhere in the mid 200s now at this point. But yeah, that was where a lot of my gaming information came from, and then I don't think I really used internet for gaming too much initially. I played Diablo a fair amount, played a little bit of Ultima Online till my father realized, oh, wait a minute, you mean I'm paying for a game that absolutely has no end to it whatsoever, that you can never beat, that there's no end game, that you're just going to keep on playing and grinding on? Well, never mind, I'm going to cancel that and save the $15 a month. So after that, I wasn't really doing as much of the online and the multiplayer gaming. I did get in Baldur's Gate on Heat.net.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty old school, actually. In fact, I think we were using Roger Wilco for the voice communications, which, once again, old school.
I like Heat.net a lot. I remember that's that was fun.
It was pretty awesome.
What did you think about the Diablo franchises compared to the other games that were in that genre?
For the action RPG sort of thing?
Yeah.
I would say Diablo 1, I hadn't played anything like it before that point, so for me that was kind of the the one that solidified it for gamers and for the market in general. Is like, if you're going to make an action RPG, it's got to be at least this awesome. It has a lot of the things that I now, these days really cherish: the procedural design, the heavy itemization and build management, stats distribution sort of stuff, the min-maxing, the option to play by yourself or multiplayer and be able to have a fun and interesting experience both ways. The fact that it was the thing that they used to launch Battle.net, which to this day is still pretty booming and pretty active, and is getting, I would say, has been getting even more active ever since Hearthstone came out. I can't actually think of any games similar to Diablo that existed around that time. By the time Diablo 2 came around, we started seeing more games, but Diablo 2 was still a pretty polished, pretty fun, pretty high quality sort of product. I would say by the time Diablo 3 came around, though, it was a combination of, they tried to reinvent the wheel when it didn't need to be reinvented, and it was a style that had been around long enough that people had been able to make some really amazing games, of that style. If you offer me Torchlight 2 or Diablo 3, after having played both of them for an hour, I would have most definitely said Torchlight 2. I love Torchlight 2. My brother and I absolutely cracked out on it. I think we have like 150 hours a piece on it or something. So much fun. We were doing no hand-me-down runs towards the end, where you wouldn't be able to use the storage chest to pass items from one character to the next. It's, you only get the items that your character or that the other person you're playing along with finds or purchases, and that's it. Nothing from a previous session. And playing that way for hardcore on veteran difficulty, that is a hell of an experience. That actually makes the game pretty fun and pretty difficult. Because, any death ends it, but you aren't able to use more awesome items that you would normally be expected to use for the higher difficulty that you got from your previous run. So, kind of a fun, unique challenge going on there. By the way, what's that? I forgot to ask earlier. Is that like a leaf pattern, the necklace or thing that you're wearing there?
It's a butterfly maiden. I have friends that are totally into the Native American culture and Native American carvings, and he's like, part of his family is Native American, so they sell this kind of stuff. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, I like it. It's my favorite.
Yeah, that's something I've been, I guess, seeing a little bit of recently is the Native American culture being more prevalent in video games.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
And I mean, not just as a token sort of thing. Like, I think of the Shadowrun series, for example, where all this weird chaos has happened, and in the midst of it, kind of a conglomerate of Native American cultures started taking over the territories in Northwest America. So they actually started becoming pretty relevant. Plus, a lot of the best spellcasters and magic users were coming from the Native American cultures. So, they weren't just there as a token sort of thing. They're actually pretty meaningful. They're actually like a major kind of faction of the game, essentially.
Do you see there was also this game that was actually made by Native Americans to help to kind of spread their culture? It's a new thing that was just like recently around the news. I haven't checked it out, but that looked really beautiful too.
That does sound pretty awesome.
I think it's cool how we are kind of incorporating all this into games, because if you think about it, games and comics and all that is kind of like our current version of mythology. It's like all our archetypes, so we're reinventing it and making it more relevant today, and I like it. It's cool. It's like really just evolution of art and storytelling. It's pretty inspiring to see.
I hadn't thought about it that way, but I kind of got chills from that. You're absolutely right. It is definitely a lot of the new lore and mythology and stuff that for our modern culture, that is where it's coming from. That's where it's being made. That's where it's being exercised. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we've seen come from comic books and graphic novels and that sort of stuff, and I would say a lot of innovation has come from that, and probably books too. I don't know. It's a whole lot of words to say. I don't know what, but yeah, I can definitely agree with you. Like when people are talking about, if I'm in a conversation and blah blah blah, oh well, Master Chief wouldn't do that. In fact, he doesn't even speak, and people know exactly what I'm talking about. I kind of think of like it's going to get to the point, it's actually already getting to this point, where people that were gaming 10, 15, 20 years ago are bringing up references that gamers today are like, huh, I have no idea what you're talking about. When 10, 15 years ago, everybody gaming knew exactly what they're talking about. So it's it's something that's changing with the culture and growing with the culture too, I would say. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I guess another thing that I'm kind of happy about seeing more representation in general of different cultures. A lot of games, like a lot of the first 30, 40 years of games, the protagonist is a white dude or a kind of ambiguous, could be white, could be Asian sort of dude. Um, and a lot of times there would also be the damsel in distress factor that the only reason why a female character exists is for the male character to save them. So that's stuff that I'm also really happy to see changing, that we're seeing a lot more female protagonists. It feels weird that female protagonist is one of the descriptors, one of the tags you can assign to a game with Steam, but it's something that hadn't really been emphasized for too long, so it makes sense to at least highlight it when it comes around. But it's something that, I don't know, I feel weird about it. It's like, female protagonist. Oh, you mean a protagonist?
Yeah, like why should it make any other difference? But somehow it ended up making a big difference.
Yeah.
I think it's cool because more people complain about it. It just forces or makes people that make games more aware of, like, yeah, let's make it more complex. Let's think out of the box. Like, the first time I watched Tropes versus Women, that YouTube show, I was like, yeah, why am I reverting to damn? I had some ideas that were like saving a woman, because that's just what you do in games, right? You just like, but then like she presents this, and I'm like, yeah, that's lazy game design, like think more. So the more people complain about lack of diversity, it just forces games to become more expressive and fuller. It's like we're not making fast food anymore. We're making serious art. It's really touches you on a profound level at that point, because it forced people to step out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, once again, I'll bring up Depression Quest. That's a game that's not going to be very familiar territory for a lot of people. So for a lot of people, it is kind of a weird, almost uncomfortable experience trying to play it. But anybody who sticks through to the end of it, it's definitely something you learn from. It's pretty cool in general. So, let's see. Got another 30 minutes here for this show. I will be back in just a moment. Gonna go AFK for a sec. Chip GM's comment, Penis Destiny, still hanging around in chat there. Thanks, buddy. So, here's a question. You haven't been to too many conventions. Have you read or heard too much about, like, the harassment of women in general at various conventions and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, in game, I've been following the whole story pretty closely. I tried working in games a couple times. I got the opportunity, but I mean, I know it's not all like that, but I've had my fair share of it. So, like, I'm more biased towards the woman's side of the story. I mean, so I mean, I'm sure the guys get harassed or whatever, but I think it is a cultural problem in general. The whole how women are treated socially.
Absolutely. I mean, there's still, like, things I read and hear every year from PAX, for example, that always kind of reaffirms to me that as much as it might be like an expo or something that's meant for the fans, it's mostly fans that are dudes.
Mm.
It's.
I mean, I get I read guys' side of the stories too, and I get the point that, like, they might be mad because of how they're treated in school and stuff. But, like, I mean, girls that are geeks get treated in the school the same way. I mean, like, it's just how people are. That people can be shitty to each other. It's like, but I think that we have a cultural problem where it seems like it's okay for one group of people to be crappier to, I don't know, like, it's a mess. I try to follow both sides of the story, but the whole thing is, like, really difficult to come to conclusions,
That's kind of the effect of the patriarchal sort of system that we have right now, where in the United States, basically, I kind of put it in the terms that white dude is easy mode, and any variation off that, like straight white dude, straight white Christian even, is easy mode, and any variations on that increase the difficulty. So, yeah, but I mean, beyond that, there's definitely a double standard. Women are always judged in everything, judged more critically, and are always being rated against the guys and rated against each other and such. And for guys, it's just like, oh yeah, he scored a goal, that's awesome. Go team dudes.
It's like, it's interesting. I mean, I had cases where to get my work accepted or whatever, I used a guy name or I used an alias, and then it's okay, and then they find, like, it happens, but like, it's no hard feelings, because people are generally often shitty, but
yeah,
it's sad, because like, part of me would have hoped, but like, again, no hard feelings, the games would be different, because if you're nerds, you understand how it's like to have prejudice, and then suddenly nerds have prejudice. So it's like, I mean, it just shows that no one is immune to that sort of behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to say it's first person shooter console playing people that have just recently entered game space and only touch on a fraction of it that are the loudest and most vocal of the trolls and the dude bro factor in the community. But I can't really say I have seen any evidence that states otherwise for me. People that I can't really say I've met hardly anybody. There's maybe only one person I thought I can think of that I've come across on Landmark that spoke in a way that was essentially intolerant. And that was, I'm not going to repeat what they said, but it most definitely was not appropriate content for the game. And when I called them out for it, pretty much everybody else um, confirmed along with me that yeah, you definitely can't be saying that sort of stuff, buddy. So I mean, it's definitely. I was gonna make a point of that, but I think I kind of trailed off a little. Sorry.
But I think that's the important part is that people do call people out on that because I think it's been so far in behavior online, internet behaviors that when someone says something crappy or mean, everyone nice steps out, and kind of ignores it. But I think it's come to a point where that has festered and saying crappy things has become sort of okay, and now it's kind of exploding in everyone's face. So, I mean, calling people out on it is one step because it shows that that's not cool. It's because I think a big part of hate or prejudice is that people do it because they think it's cool and it's okay to do.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right about that, or that it's something that their friends are doing, therefore they're gonna do it too, or they're gonna do it because they think if they're doing it and their friends aren't, that their friends will start to emulate them or something like that. I don't know. Uh, to me, it's plus or minus the same sort of mentality as fascism. And I don't know what drives a fascist. So
Mm.
it's the internet. But I mean, even
You know,
even at Indiecade, there was a gal who was saying she was getting harassed by some dude that he kept going over and like touching her here, and like when she said she was waiting for a call or something, the guy said, "What, from your boyfriend?" So yeah, that to see that at Indiecade, like that I would figure is going to be a bit more of a safer space, but nowhere's really safe. Like everywhere, there's going to be that dude who.
but the good thing about this is that it's looked down upon now. It's not cool anymore. When maybe years ago, or at least in my mom's lifetime, that was okay to do. Like, so what? And now people are questioning it. And I think as much as the internet brings out the worst in people, I think it actually is helping the evolution of morality, where people are quickly get sick of it, quickly start speaking up against it, and then quickly it becomes not cool to do it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely part of it, but at the same time, people are also starting to get more aggressive with the means and methods they use to attack other people.
Yeah.
Like the doxing that's been going on, people having their information, how to contact them, their address, email, names, previous names, family, and all that stuff being posted on here. That's
Unfortunate, really bad.
it's not only that, it's also something that there's really no way to enforce it, and I'm not really sure who or what would really be able to enforce it.
Hmm.
And that's, I guess, one of the things that I'm kind of worried about with the internet going forward is like, well, if a website has content that you don't want it to have, do you have to pay $100 to get the website DDoSed or something, or pay some amount of money to have somebody go through and actually remove that information, or or do you just contact federal agencies and hope that they'll actually help you or something? It's a really tough sort of thing. It's not like physical objects and things involving physical locations, because that's a lot easier, and it can't be something where it's essentially in 1,000 places at once, where there's really no way to detect exactly where something's originating or who's the person behind it or anything like that.
It's interesting. In one of the talks, it indicates someone mentioned that there needs to be more focus from companies like Twitter on protecting, cooperating and bringing out abusers. Like, I mean, the excuse is that they're protecting people's privacy, but it's the whole thing is not helping, in that users can be that anonymous, and it's an interesting dilemma, because on one point you don't want government to have people's information, Twitter, to be closed off and protect your privacy and all that. But on the other hand, that people are abusing that and using anonymity to attack other people.
Yeah, I mean, there's places in Asia, I can't remember all of the countries in particular, where they have the model that you're basically either using your social security number or using your real first and last name, or a combination of the two, when you create any account for anything on the internet. And if you hack something, or if you're doing something illegal on it, not only will you always be permanently banned for it, and it's enforceable because you can't log in on somebody else's things and access the internet, but if it's something that's actually illegal, you'll actually potentially be prosecuted for it, because once again, you're using your actual information. So that definitely curtails a lot of the issues out there, and that's actually the odd side effect of that is a lot of companies like Nexon, for example, their games aren't as secure when they go to North America, because anybody can log in from anywhere and use all sorts of cheat programs, and there's not as much that Nexon can really do about it. They don't have the tools, the infrastructure, and the work power to individually ban everybody and patch out every cheat and all of that sort of stuff. So the fact that it came over from a place where you really couldn't cheat without being basically prosecuted, or at least getting permabanned, to a place where you can just create a new account and use a proxy and all of that sort of stuff to make people think that you're coming from somewhere else and you're a completely different person. There's some things that can be done beyond that. I know Sony has actually taken to recording people's hard drive serial numbers. So if you cheat and they catch that hard drive serial number, next time it comes up, that account's banned too.
That's interesting.
So, I mean, there's definitely things people are doing to step their game up. But it's that at the same time, SOE is coming from North America. They're not coming from Asia, so they have to deal with the security hazards and risks with North American products.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I'll find just something really cool here. There's a lot of awesome, amazing stuff people have built.